What's going on, everyone? So we're all still anxiously waiting around for Bradley Beal and the decision that he's going to make, which is really odd, right? It's been very quiet. Nothing's really happened. I'm kind of curious to see if anything happens during Summer League, right? Does he make his decision during Summer League? Because originally, we got reports like a week ago now that we were going to have a decision in 48 hours. Now we know that the Suns are buying out Bradley Beal, but supposedly it was already going to be done and he was supposed to have already picked his new team, right? And he's just waiting 48 hours to clear waivers and then boom, you're done, right? Like that was, so like he was supposed to be signed, like on the roster of whatever team it was, within 4 days. And that was like I said, like a week ago, right? It was already supposed to be done and over with. And we haven't heard anything. Right now, there's a lot of talks and a lot of kind of rumors going around about him going to the Los Angeles Clippers, which, they got rid of a Norman Powell. He could easily just slot right into the starting unit, have a pretty stacked, at least on paper wise, starting unit with the Los Angeles Clippers of James Harden, Bradley Beal, Kawhi Leonard, John Collins, and Ivica Zubac, which, again, that could be terrifying depending on how that plays out. There would be kind of some questions, with James Harden and Kawhi Leonard's not really known to pass the ball very much, right? Like, and then on top of that, Bradley Beal is best with the ball in his hands too, but he can play a little off ball. So like, can those three kind of make it work with John Collins and so on and so forth, right? But at least on paper, that's a pretty tough team, right? At least on paper, that's a pretty tough roster. It would be really interesting to kind of see how that plays out. Milwaukee's another team. Milwaukee is the team that I think makes the most sense because he could easily just plug right in and kind of play the Damian Lillard role for them and just be that bucket getter that you could slot alongside Giannis and then Miles Turner. And it's like you essentially turn Damian Lillard into Miles Turner and Bradley Beal. It's a pretty good position to be in, right? Like you solve your center, but you get an upgrade in Brook Lopez and you get, at this point, an upgrade in Damian Lillard because Damian Lillard's not going to play all year next year, right? So the best ability is availability at that point. But you kind of see these two teams that if you're making the argument, do make a lot of sense, right? Make more sense than even the Lakers. But Bradley Beal, his preferred trade destination was the Lakers. And you would think that if that's the case, if his preferred destination was the Lakers, that he would go to the Lakers if bought out, right? Because he wants to be closer to LA because that's where his, wife and stuff grow up and live and all that. And, he could just kind of make that commute from Phoenix to LA. Again, that could also be the Clippers too, but again, he wanted to be a Laker. He's wanted to be a Laker since, before Russell Westbrook days, right? Like, there have been several times where it looked like the Lakers might end up landing Bradley Beal, and it just didn't happen. Now Bradley Beal's chance. Now's the Lakers' chance, right? Lakers are interested. Bradley Beal's interested. So make it happen. Well, again, a lot of people think he's going to the Los Angeles Clippers, except for Eric Pincus. Eric Pincus believes that he will sign a 2-year deal with the Lakers. So, Eric Pincus predicts Bradley Beal signs a 2-year deal with the Los Angeles Lakers. To me, it boils down to like, what does Bradley Beal really want? Look, if you want to just be in LA, then yeah, Clippers probably make more sense. If you want to be in the actual LA team, right? Because we've heard players go from the Lakers to the Clippers and teams that are on, or players that are on the Clippers that end up leaving the Clippers and are like, dude, it's your little brother, man. Like, it sucks, right? Like, we've heard players talk about how tough it is to be a Clipper compared to a Laker, right? Because, it's a Laker town. Everybody, yes, Clippers have a fan base, but nowhere near to the level of the Lakers, right? And so it's just like a different world when you're on the Clippers. Bradley Beal want kind of the LA Lakers spotlight, the LA Lakers opportunity. Also, if he balls out with the Lakers, that's going to do more than if he balls out with the Clippers. He's going to just get more attention with the Lakers because it's the Lakers. And it's the Lakers town. It's the Lakers market. All of that, right? So, that's the thing. Like, if what does he want? What is he looking to do? Now, obviously, there's the question of, does he start? Does he come off the bench? How does that work? How is that going to happen? I don't, if I'm Bradley Beal, am I really worried about Austin Reeves? Right? Honestly, remove your personal thoughts, right? Maybe you think Austin Reeves is better than Bradley Beal. If you do, it's not the point. If you're Bradley Beal, you're like, but the 2 years before I went to Phoenix, I was averaging 30 points a game, right? I was balling out. Right? I go to Phoenix. I make all the sacrifice in a situation that just didn't fit and didn't make sense for me. And even through all that, I still averaged 18 points and as the third option. Like, go look at Bradley Beal was like an 18-4-4 guy, even with the terrible fit and him coming off the bench and doing all this other stuff, right? So like, he's probably looking at it as like, I can get me and Austin Reeves in a training camp, right? Watch me take his spot. Now, obviously the Lakers, are they going to do that? But JJ prides himself in like, hey, I'm going with the guy that makes the most sense. Now, you could argue you don't want to upset Austin Reeves, right? Because Austin Reeves could just leave you. But if Bradley Beal really is that good for you, then now you have the flexibility to trade him. Not Bradley Beal, Austin Reeves, right? Because Bradley Beal's still young enough to where, like, if he's good to go, right? Like, and he's cooking and doing all the things that you want to see from him, right? Well, then now you can, hey, why do we want to pay Austin Reeves $30 million? And we have Bradley Beal that is making, $5 million for the next 2 years. We'd rather do that than figure it out when Bradley Beal's done. And he's still going to be getting paid by the Phoenix Suns, so we're not going to give him a $30 million contract. So we got Bradley Beal basically cheap for the next 5 years, or we could have Austin Reeves making $40 million over the next 5 years, or $40 million a year over the next 5 years, right? Like, so that could be something too that the Lakers look at, right? Because the Lakers, they're interested in Bradley Beal, right? But if you're interested in Bradley Beal, you have Austin Reeves. So if you're the Lakers, like, what is your plan? Are you looking at Bradley Beal to come off the bench? Is that what Bradley Beal really wants? Right? Like, does Bradley Beal really want to come off the bench? Especially behind Austin Reeves. Like, again, I like Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves is great. But it's like, if you're Bradley Beal, again, I'm looking at it from Bradley Beal's perspective. Right? Not our personal fan bias and all that. Like, Bradley Beal's perspective. Like, how far have I fallen that I'm coming off the bench behind Austin Reeves? Right? Like, it depends on the situation and circumstance. Does he just want to be a Laker? There's some guys that just want to be a Laker. Hey, whatever I got to do, if I got to come off the bench, if I got to start, whatever, right? Like, I just want to be in a purple and gold jersey, and I'll figure it out, right? Get me in a purple and gold jersey, and I'm going to make the Lakers' decision incredibly easy because they're going to see me play, they're going to see me ball, and they're going to go, all right, we need to get off Austin Reeves. Like, that's how I'd be looking at it if I was Bradley Beal. Right? Like, I still think Bradley Beal, still think that there's a good chance it's the Lakers. Again, Clippers and the Bucks make the most sense based on just natural plug and play. Right? Boom, you just slot into the starting two. There's no questions. There's no ands, ifs, buts about it. There's no like, oh, whoa, how is that? Like, no, you're fine. You just slot him in, boom, starting, easy peasy. But, right, like, does Bradley Beal like the challenge? Does Bradley Beal want to kind of slot in and go like, hey, you know what? And if you win with the Lakers, that will be bigger than anything else. All right, like, yes, you could argue Clippers winning the first championship would be huge, but to the level of the Lakers, no. Right? Even like, Thunder won a championship. People talked about it for like a day and a half, if that. And then it was like, what is the Lakers going to do with LeBron James? Because it's the Lakers. People always want to talk about the Lakers. Guess what? You're going to be talked about with the Lakers. You win a championship and you're a big part of it with the Lakers. That's also going to get you the most notoriety. That's also going to give you the most just kind of accolade. It's going to get you the most attention, right? To where maybe a team does go like, okay, so maybe it was a Phoenix Suns situation. Maybe it really was he was just terrible in the Suns. I know he's making $25 million a year, but like, hey, let's give him another $20 million and, sign him to a 4-year, $80 million contract. And we got Bradley Beal on our roster for 20, right? Maybe that's something that ends up happening. I mean, again, who knows how this plays out? But if you're the Lakers, you're pushing hard for Bradley Beal. If you're Bradley Beal, right, kind of got to look at the entire package. Right? You got to look at the entire situation, right? What do you really want? Do you really want to go to the Clippers? Right? Or do you want to go to the purple and gold and solidify yourself in the legacy of the Lakers? Because that legacy is, you know what it does. We all know what it does. Even Clipper fans know what it does. Because there's no denying the Lakers. Also, if you want the attention, if you want the narrative change, right? Because right now everyone's like, oh, is Bradley Beal washed? Is this, that, and the other? You want the narrative change? If you go to the Clippers, yeah, if you go to the Clippers, you can start there. If you go to the Clippers and you average 17, it's kind of another guy on the Clippers. If you go to Lakers and average 17, all of a sudden it's, does Bradley Beal put the Lakers over the top? Is Bradley Beal the missing piece? Bradley Beal for sixth man of the year. Bradley Beal for the, wherever he slotted in play. That's the narrative. Why? Because that's the difference between the Lakers and the Clippers. Same thing with Milwaukee. Same thing with anywhere else. The difference between the Lakers and Clippers is the media is going to find every excuse possible to bring you and loop you into the conversation somehow, some way, because it just gives them another talking point, right? Like that's just, it's easy. People are going to click. People are going to listen. Why? Because it's the Lakers. But hopefully Eric Pincus is right, because I would love to have Bradley Beal on this team. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Else not, so we enjoy these types of videos. Truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.